What goals have you recently set for yourself?
Goals?
How are you doing so far on these goals? That's what it says.
Okay, so I'm going to examine...
So wait, a recent goal that you set for yourself is not to eat sugar the whole of Lent. How are you doing so far?
Well, because of you,
Because
we've
of
had
me.
Saturdays off.
We've had Saturday off. Yeah.
But apart from that, yeah, really good. Oh, there it is.
I was doing well until today, in which I was so angry this morning. I was just really pissed off, and I was like, I'm doing this for the sake of Lent, which is like a Christian thing, which I really don't believe in.
Absolutely.
Like, I absolutely disagree with it. But I'm doing it for that sake, just because it's a reason. Just because it's a reason to do so.
What do you think about other people's religions?
What do you mean?
Like, if someone
like
says...
other religions other than Christianity, or religion in
So,
general?
like, say... So, obviously, we are both atheists. We don't really believe in God at all.
Not in the slightest.
But how do you feel about other people's religions? So...
What, other people having religion?
So, obviously, Mazin's a Muslim. He believes in Allah.
Yeah. Well, I respect that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, same.
I think it's idiotic. I think it's illogical. But I
respect it.
I respect that that's his...
Thing is, I feel like if you're not raised on that stuff, you will never become the religion.
No, I disagree with that. Because there's people who have been born-again Christians. That's a fairly common thing. Oh, we're born-again Christian.
Okay.
And it's people that feel like they've been touched by the hand of God, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, but what if one day...
If I get touched by... Well, then I feel it, and I ignore my... No, that won't happen to me. That won't happen.
How do you know that?
I can say that. I can say that 100%. Because I think... I
feel like me and you think too logically about
I think 100% with logic. And I think everything that I think of the reason that it's done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, recently they've discovered gravitational waves.
I don't.
Well, recently, for the first time, we've observed gravitational waves, which is something that Einstein theorized about 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been able to prove because we don't have the technology. But recently, we've observed gravitational waves, which is a massive breakthrough for
Gravitational waves?
Yeah.
So what, gravity is
No.
waves?
So basically, like, if you have two neutron stars, incredibly dense, incredibly high gravity, orbiting each other, they send out waves of gravity, up and down, up and down. Because, so Einstein said...
Let's just say we're caught in this gravitational wave.
No, that's not how it works.
No?
No.
Okay.
Einstein said that space-time is flexible enough to warp around things with like huge gravity.
Right.
So things like two neutron stars that are orbiting each other, which is fairly common.
Two neutron stars?
Neutron stars, yeah.
That's stars that are about to go?
No.
No?
Neutron stars are made of just neutrons. Incredibly dense.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Like pole stars and shit. That are orbiting around each other. They alter gravity in like a... I'm drunk so I can't think what it is, but it's like a to and fro motion. And headshot. And so it's like an up and down. And so it kind of stretches and compresses space-time. And they were able to see it through, because it's like it stretches and it compresses the Earth, but in such a way that it's like atomic distances, like really small distances. So the way they did it was they had two waves that were shot out along 4-kilometer tubes, and then and then reflected back. And the way that they were reflected back means that they were cancelling each other out. So you know, like when one wave is at a peak, one wave is at a trough, they cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So it's like that, and that's how they would reflect. That's how they should reflect. But the gravitational waves stretched and compressed both because they're going in different directions. They stretched and compressed at different rates, and so there was interference, and they didn't cancel each other out like they should have. And that's how they
found
the gravitational waves, which is a huge breakthrough because it's a way. Because we've always looked at the universe in light waves, like waves of light, but now we've got another way of what the fuck? What's the word I'm thinking of? We have another word for looking at. Observe. We have another way of observing the universe, and it's through the gravitational waves. That can show us, like, if there's, as I said, if there's like two black holes or something orbiting each other, it's a huge gravitational waves. And these are ways that we can look at it that we've never been able to look at before. What was my point?
I can't remember fucking shit. What were we talking about?
Wait, what was the second thing? Oh wait, your goals.
Okay.
Oh yeah, wait, we're talking about believing in God. And then we're talking about how we're both logical. When I heard about that, I wanted to know how. I wanted to know how they had observed them. I wanted to know why it happened. I wanted to know the reasons. When I'm at work sometimes, and look at your face, and your face is blurred because you've had it. When I'm at work sometimes and I think about things, I think about the science behind these things. Like, when M's talking about something, I'll think, or when I'm thinking, actually, just when I'm thinking to myself, I try and explain it in my head, using fairly logical like reason, and like I have a fairly not minimal, but I don't have an advanced knowledge of all types of science, but I can use basic logic to sort of explain things in my own way before having to look it up or ask somebody else why it happens. And so I think that way before I will ask somebody else, because that's necessary for me to not feel like a twat. Right. So when I think about God,
we have taken a different turn on this channel.
That's how it works. So when I think about God, I think, okay, Sonny, think about what they're trying to tell you. They're trying to tell you that a being existed before space and time, which is okay, obviously, I don't believe that God existed before space and time, but how did space and time come into being?
Yeah.
Before the Big Bang, it's unfathomable to the human brain. I don't think we can think about that. Like, we can't think of more than infinite. Infinite is just never ending. We can't think of like something not having an end, not having a beginning. Like, we always think something has to have started somewhere. The universe, space, time, everything must have started somewhere. There must be a beginning to time.
Absolutely.
But if you think of time as, like, they say that time is another dimension itself.
They say the time's supposed to heal you.
I ain't got a feeling. I mean, look, I've still got buds.
Yeah. Right, carry on.
They say that time is another dimension and it's relative because gravity can affect it. Because space-time, is the dimension we're living in. We're not living in space. We're living in space-time, which time travels uniformly when not under great gravitational stress. And so we think of it has to have a beginning. It must do. Like life and death. Life is the beginning. Death is the end. We think it must have a beginning and an end. But how can space-time have a definite beginning? Because before that, there was nothing.
Right.
No space, no time, no space. There wasn't like a vast emptiness. There was nothing. Emptiness didn't exist. So what the fuck started the emptiness? And people explain it through God. And the only reason people still explain it through God is because they didn't have scientific knowledge back in thousands of years.
This is nuts. Like, what the fuck has happened?
That guy's booked a trip to Japan. Thousands of years ago, they had no real scientific knowledge. They had no way of observing the universe. They had no way of understanding it. So they created things, fictional things, to fill the gaps, which is where God started. And then there was more, like the Bible, there was more things to fill the gaps that they didn't have, and to rationalise it, and to make it so that it's believable, and something that you can listen. See that guy? Who is he? Wait, go back over. More.
Oh, him?
No, not him. Up. There was somebody somewhere who's booked somewhere to Japan. Just look at all the different people. What about the guy next to the policeman? What about this guy? No.
It's
Down.
not black.
He is.
Oh yeah.
It's just the light. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah.
Oh, this isn't obvious.
Wait.
Who's that guy behind a fucking cabinet?
He must just be crouching now. His legs must hurt.
Absolutely.
But they created religion to rationalise the things they didn't understand. And then it's become it had such a big following that people still continue to ignore such blatant, ridiculous misconceptions and rationalise it through religion. And I think that's so stupid. But nowadays we're trying to prove things through science, but they're possibly unprovable. Like how could we put? There is no way. I don't think ever. There's no way that humans can discover where time and space started.